Welcome back to another video. We start and we'll give a quick roundup of the market. We're sitting at 121 billion. Seems like a similar market cap to probably last Sunday. Bitcoin dominance is 52.4%. It's dropped a bit with 24-hour volume of 20 billion. Not too bad for a Sunday. So Bitcoin is still hovering in the 3,600 region. We are not breaking out of this price, although Ethereum looks like it is on the rise and XRP is on the dip. So again, we're hovering around 3,600. We can't seem to break out of 3,006, and we've not been able to break out into 3,700 for a while now. And again, I mentioned in previous videos, we need to get out of this area into the 4,200 plus mark to move out of lows we've had for the last, I would say, 3 months. So that will kind of give us a bit more of a bearish sentiment. So we need the market to go up, especially for Bitcoin, around $600 or $550 into the 4,200 mark. And I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, to be honest. I think it's going to be a lot of sideways movement, if not some downwards movement, before we move back up once we get any substantial news. Anyway, so let me start with the first article. This Chinese crypto mining guru predicts the Bitcoin price will surge 20,000%. That sounds promising. A Chinese crypto mining pool founder predicted that the next bull run would unleash the market's full potential, enabling the Bitcoin price to ascend to unfathomable heights before the euphoria cools down. Bitcoin market cap to 12 trillion. Zufar, co-founder of crypto mining pool Poolin, recently made a bullish statement on Bitcoin price, predicting that Bitcoin would surge to new highs at 5 million Chinese yuan, roughly $740,000. Wow. From record highs above $17,000 last year I'll read that again. From record highs above $17,000 to year lows near $3,000, Bitcoin's year-long turbulence has not discouraged crypto bulls. And I'll go on to that in another article, actually. The operator of the world's fourth largest mining pool with over 11% of global hash rate, wow, still goes hyperbolic on Bitcoin price forecast despite the current sluggish climate. Bitcoin price will surge in the range of 500,000 yuan or 5 million yuan, which is $74,000 to $740,000. Wow, that's a big gap in the next round of bull run. If Bitcoin price were to rise so dramatically as Zofar suggests, he's predicting its future market cap will be 12 trillion. Bitcoin's current price peak occurred on December 17, 2017, when buyers, we know about that, $20,000. Actually, in fact, I think at some places are just under 20. Timetable for this prediction. Zhu didn't give a time frame for more specific than the next round of bull run. In his recent comment on another crypto's influence remarks on instant messaging platform WeChat. Not giving time scale. I mean, yes, we know there's going to be a hard rise at some point in the bull run. $74,000 is I guess more likely than $740,000 in the next run, unless we have world adoption, which is not quite likely just yet. Winklevoss Twins predicted 4 trillion in December. Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss predicted in December that the world's most highly valued private currency would appreciate against the US dollar as much as 4,000% to a total market value of 4 trillion. The twins have often compared Bitcoin favorably to gold, forecasting that the digital asset will disrupt the yellow metal. Absolutely. And Cameron Winklevoss said that the recent Bitcoin price decline has not caused him to waver from his optimistic prediction. The brothers Winklevoss were the first verified Bitcoin billionaires. They invested massively in early on when one Bitcoin price was $120 and they're holding on tight. Well, hodling, I don't like this word. Tim Draper's Bitcoin prediction of $250,000 by 2022, 80 trillion market cap by 2033. Wow. In September, Bitcoin American tech billionaire, venture capitalist, and crypto bull Tim Draper stood by his April prediction that Bitcoin would reach $250,000 in 2022, which would put the total market cap of the cryptocurrency comfortably above 4 trillion. He also predicted the overall cryptocurrency market value cap would be $80 trillion by 2033. It just seems that people are just flashing around big numbers but not saying very much of substance to justify these figures. Of course, it's tough to put together solid assumptions to make specific predictions, but if they're going to say the figure, I think they should elaborate some solid ground to make the numbers they're stating at least meaningful, and to be more precise about what they do, and more importantly, what they do. So, I do agree with that conclusion. We don't want just numbers to be thrown out. If you're claiming a potential Bitcoin valuation of $740,000 at 12 trillion, again, of course, this is entirely possible, because this article actually doesn't state which price point, and also the price point on which year. Certainly not 2019. I don't think 2020. I don't think 2021. I don't think 2022. So at least in the next 3 years, I can say for sure, pretty much, unless we have a Bitcoin global currency where US dollar crashes and it's valued at zero and everybody adopts Bitcoin, does the value of Bitcoin hit $750,000? I mean, I would be very, very happy, and would love to put out that as my prediction. But unfortunately, we need to be realistic. We like to have a pipe dream, but we also need to be realistic as opposed to optimistic. Yes, optimism is good, but this is just a bit nuts at the moment. So if you're looking at $12 trillion Bitcoin, what's the state of the market? So if we think about the market as a whole, and we're looking at Bitcoin dominance around 30%, which is 12 trillion. So we're roughly looking around a 3 times that as total market. So which is $36 trillion or $40 trillion market cap. That would mean that we have less coins in the market, but at the same time, Bitcoin dominance could be slightly higher if we have less coins in the market. If we only have 50 coins in the market, and Bitcoin dominance is maybe 60 or 70%, then you're looking at a sort of a $20 trillion market cap, which is entirely possible and more likely than a $40 or $50 trillion market cap, bearing in mind how much actual real money is floating around in the world, which is roughly around $80 trillion. And if you're stating that Bitcoin would be 12 of that 80 trillion, or would that be added on? So it's kind of a lot of questions to be asked on top. Whereas Tim Draper's prediction of $250,000 by 2022, which is 3 years away, seems more realistic, and a $4 trillion market cap certainly seems more likely than a price which is 3 times that of Tim Draper's prediction. And I would probably buy into Tim Draper's valuation more, because he is a billionaire. Yes, I'm not saying money is a big counting factor, but the fact that he's able to make billions and invested in billions, he's a venture capitalist, so he has to look to invest in people who have good ideas or throw money at companies who can flourish. And obviously he's been able to see something which is going to do that, and that's Bitcoin. And this is why he wears a Bitcoin tie, and this is why he's always talking about Bitcoin, 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 because he sees it as the long-term strategy for his investments, and possibly he will probably say to clients or other people that Bitcoin is the one. And if he's claiming it's going to be $250,000 by 2022, and he holds even 1,000 Bitcoin, we're going to have a lot of trillionaires at some point once Bitcoin hits these, well, potentially when Bitcoin hits these prices. And again, this is in my opinion and a financial advice, but this is why the idea of continuously buying Bitcoin every so often or regularly only strengthens your, investment. Even if you're buying 0.01 of a Bitcoin monthly or 0.05 of a Bitcoin monthly, it's not wasted money. We don't expect Bitcoin to go to zero, and my next article will make sense of that. People like Tim Draper and the Winklevoss brothers, who've obviously become billionaires on the back of Bitcoin investment in 2013-ish time, it's almost like a pension. So you're investing 0.05 every month of a Bitcoin, and even if you were able to save half a Bitcoin over the year, then if you're going to go by a 2022 valuation over the year, if it stayed roughly around the same price, and you would have to increase to keep the 0.05 every month, then even if you were to get a valuation of $250,000 by 2022, then if you took that 1 year alone, you would potentially be sitting on $125,000. Now, you would potentially only have invested something like maybe $1,500 to $2,000 over a year and had a return of $125,000. Not that difficult, and also it's something which you can actually write off. I guess $2,000. It's still a lot of money. There's still a lot of things you can buy for $2,000, but as an investment strategy, it's a good, I think, in my opinion, a good strategy for investment. And that kind of goes into my next point or next article. I wanted to literally talk about straight after this one, and this is Grayscale, and this is where your flags should be coming up, and things should be alarm bells going off in your head to understand Bitcoin or cryptocurrency as a market. So Grayscale's Q4 report, institutional investors provide 66% of capital inflow. So just think about this. Digital Investment Management Fund, Grayscale Investment's latest crypto investment prior released on February 14th reveals capital inflow from institutional investors is on the rise. That should be on the rise. For Q4 2018, Grayscale reports that institutions accounted for the majority of investments at 66%, as well investors were almost exclusively based in the United States, 99%. Although full year statistics indicate a more distributed geography with 33% offshore investors to 67%. I think this part is not the point. The main part I want to talk about is overall the fund notes there's been a deceleration of a few inflows into crypto products quarter over quarter in 2018. Nonetheless, with Q4 investments at $30.1 million, Grayscale's products hit a value of $359 million for the entire year, nearly twice the inflows of previous 4 years, 2014-2017. Grayscale has been overseeing investments into crypto for over 5 years, launching a Bitcoin investment trust back in September 2013 and then expanding to other single asset funds including Ethereum Classic, Zcash and Litecoin, as well as diversified offerings such as its digital large cap fund. So if you look at if we look at that Bitcoin was going to be dying and Bitcoin is going to go to zero and it's a dead market, blah 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 blah, like you heard from Davos, then why are institutionals, which is roughly 66% of this 30 million, investing, which actually increased in Q4 of 2018, $30 million in 1 month, and they invested, well, they had investments of $359 million over the year. So Grayscale owns roughly, I think, about 1 to 2% of Bitcoin, all of Bitcoin. So it's got, billions in dollars worth of Bitcoin. It's probably got like 200,000 Bitcoin itself. If we look at both articles, what Tim and this Chinese founder of a pool mining company has said, this should make you understand that if investors are investing 1% of their fund or 1% of their value or their assets into a fund which is predominantly probably Bitcoin with a few others, why are they? And this is what I'm saying about slow, small investments every month into Bitcoin or into cryptocurrency, and notably your top 4 or 5, so Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, Litecoin, things like that. We don't expect those currencies to go away. We don't expect institutional investors to go away. So they will keep buying, which means there'll be less for us individual regular investors to buy. They will keep eating up the Bitcoin and others like Ethereum. I think Ethereum's going to have a hard cap eventually, like 80 million. And there'll be nothing left. So, we will be outpriced. Right now, you can go onto CoinMarket. You can go onto Coinbase and buy 0.01 of a Bitcoin for $50. Eventually, this 0.01, like I mentioned in previous videos, will become that $50 would get you 0.001, and then so on and so forth, where it'll cost you $1 or $10 to get one Satoshi. So, which is probably what, 0.000001. And you could look back at random exchanges where you've got the most smallest amounts of Bitcoin, and even they will become valuable. They may be worth about $1 now or 50 cents now, but they could get to maybe $20 or $30. My point is, there's not going to be much left if everybody keeps buying up. There's only ever going to be 21 million. And for a fact, companies or investors who are investing with Grayscale are not buying. And if they are buying directly from, eventually, if they're investing as a fund and they're allocating Bitcoin to them, they're not going to be investing in 0.1 of a Bitcoin or 0.2. They're buying hundreds, if not thousands of Bitcoin, and Grayscale will keep buying if it has a product. And you don't forget, you've still got Backed to come up, and they need to have probably a fund of Bitcoin to need to offer. They need to show they have custody. Then you've got the New York Stock Exchange and Goldman Sachs and Fidelity, and all these people will be buying up crypto. And when I mean crypto, I generally first of all always refer to Bitcoin first, because it's got such a small supply, unlike the others, and it has obviously the most amount of hype and marketing knowledge and sort of information about it out there. We think of cryptocurrency, the first thing we would think of Bitcoin. But that may not always be the case. But at the moment, Bitcoin is king, and it's been king for 10 years. It's not going to be dethroned anytime soon. So, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is keep buying. If you're playing the lottery, smoking, drinking, eating junk food, buying too many coffees, going out a bit too much, these certain things can be sacrificed to invest into your future. Because when I'm investing in crypto, I'm not looking at, I'm going to make a quick buck here, and I'm going to sell at this point. I'm looking at the long-term strategy. And obviously everyone has a price point, and everybody has a price where they want to cash out. And depending on what you plan to do in your life, if it's $50,000 for Bitcoin, or $100,000 for a Bitcoin, or $1 million for a Bitcoin, at some point people will start selling off, or potentially using the crypto to invest into other products, like maybe buying a house or starting a business. So you may never go back into fiat, but you will transfer the Bitcoin to somebody else to exchange of goods, just like you would with currency. So I want to have a currency called Bitcoin. So think about your future carefully. think about where you want your future to go and what it takes and how much you would need, and invest. And of course, I don't saying literally always look at crypto, but because I am a crypto YouTuber, but there are obviously traditional markets out there. There are real estate, but you obviously don't get the returns you would quickly if compared to buying a house as an investment or investing in traditional stock. You could buy a house and it'll take you 10 years possibly for that price of the house of that price to double, whereas in Bitcoin it could take a couple of months before the price of Bitcoin doubles. So obviously it's depending on what you see as safe. Some people think buying in houses is safe, people think investing in gold is safe, or investing in stocks and bonds is safe. Bitcoin is still volatile, and so is the crypto market. Fully understand that, but you're going to be hard pushed to expect Bitcoin to go to zero, or Ethereum to go to zero, or XRP to go to zero, when it's this much ingrained in society already. Anyway, I've gone on for a little bit too long with just these two articles, but I want to kind of make it clear on my intentions of crypto and why I'm so invested in crypto and why I think others should be. And I always tell people to look at Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets properly yourself individually first and see if it's right for you. It's not right for everybody. It always creates a lot of weak hands, a lot of stress sometimes when the prices keep going down and you've invested at $10,000. It sometimes can get too much for people. It can make people depressed. It can lead to anxiety. So be careful in what you're investing in. Always do your research. I'm just an individual with my opinions of what I'm doing, and maybe others should do the same. Do your own research. For some people, cryptocurrency market isn't for them. It's just too much 24/7. Sometimes stepping back from this for a few days is good to clear your head. Or some people just buy it and then absolutely just leave it because they have no intention of selling it because they don't need to sell, and they'll look at it in a year's time or 6 months' time and see what the price is. So whoever you are, figure out who you are, what works for you, and do that. I'm only giving you my opinion that I continue to buy crypto and especially Bitcoin because I believe in the project. I believe it's going to be something, and we're going to expect to get those highs once we get into a bull run. I'm an individual, and so are you. And I'll leave it at that, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe, and be careful out there. Okay, thank you. Bye.